thanks for tuning in. Today I want to share my thoughts on luxury aftercare service. I also got a couple questions about this in my Q&A video, and I thought it was such a good topic that it kind of warranted its own video. I want to share my personal experience when it comes to luxury repair with pieces that I've purchased. And I've even gotten a full refund for an item a whole almost year and a half after I actually purchased the piece. So I'll get into some of that as well. And then I just wanted to share like what I feel like the process is and whether it's really worth investing in luxury or not. So let's get started. A lot of times we really, save up and work hard to get these pieces, these luxury pieces, into our collections. And one expectation that I have around luxury pieces is that they're going to be high quality, that they are good materials, excellent craftsmanship, and all of that kind of comes together into the piece that I'm purchasing. And it should be rare, but sometimes things happen where an item will need repair, and that the brand would stand behind their product and offer repair services as well. So for the most part, I would say that is the case. The brands seem to meet my expectations around those. On whether or not, on some of the quality front, sometimes there's some heated discussion and debate about that. But for the most part, when it comes to needing to repair a piece, I think, at least from my experience, for the most part, brands are willing to work through that. As of now, my repair experience is with mostly Chanel and Dior. I have seen some repair activity happen at LV, but it wasn't for me. And I've heard some things about Hermes. So if you have any tips or thoughts on repairs as well across the different brands, definitely let me know in the comment section down below, because I'd love to hear more of your experiences too. My experiences vary across the board. They're not all great experiences when it comes to repairs. And so that's what I wanted to sort of explain, and what I think helps make some of the repair needs better. My very first repair experience was horrific. I have an old video that goes into like a lot more detail on what exactly happened. I bust out my laptop to go through like timestamps of stuff that happened, because that stuff was just unbearable and unnecessary. I will link that video above in case you're curious to know a lot more about the details. But that repair was around this piece in this little bag right here. And it is a belt. You'll see, I put it in the bubble wrap because of all the stuff that it went through. But this is the belt in question, and the issue was with the buckle. So to give like the really quick 5-second synopsis of what happened, I was at a boutique and I saw this belt. It was beautiful and I wanted to purchase it, but the SA who was helping me was very nice, and the SA was like, look, there's like a little scratch on this. It's a pretty big scratch. I don't really feel comfortable selling this one to you. I tried buffing it out and it won't buff out. If you want it, what we can do is you can purchase it. We can send it off for repair. They will polish it. It will come back just like brand new. And that's how you can have this belt, because I can tell you really like the belt and you really want it. So I said, sure. And the SA was like, it shouldn't take too long. Maybe it will take like 3 weeks. It shouldn't take too long. And you would still have your item just like it's brand new. I'm like, all right, sounds like a plan to me. And I decided to go down that pathway. Like, long story short, it took forever. And when it came back worse than when it left for repair. And like, it can happen. I'll put a picture in here so you see what happened before and after. But like, I was really confused, And the essay that I was working with wasn't at the boutique anymore. I was in like a car accident or something, so had to be off for a bit. So I was working with someone else to pick the item up, and I was there to pick it up, and I was just like, what is this? Like, this looks worse. And the people at the store, the essays at the store with a straight face looked at me and was like, oh yeah, that's the best it's gonna look. Like, it's not easy to polish these things. And I was like, no. Like, that is a wholly unacceptable answer. A, because that's not what the essay told me to when I was sending it out, and B, this is Chanel. We're not talking about something that was like 50 years old. We're talking about something that was new, had a scratch on it from being on display. You guys offered to send it back, and when it comes back it looks worse, and you're going to tell me that this is the best that can happen. Anyway, so then I was clearly not happy with that experience. I managed to talk to like the boutique manager, who then of course apologized, and then guess what they did? A store transfer from somewhere else. And I was like, you couldn't have done that the first time? Like, don't tell me that wasn't an option the first time. You absolutely could have, but just nobody cared about that. Nobody was thinking about that at that boutique. So needless to say, I don't shop at that particular boutique anymore. The whole thing seemed so unnecessary, seemed really unprofessional. And personally, I, at that time, kind of deemed it to be characteristic of that boutique, rather than it being a whole thing with the whole brand. That was my first repair experience, and lucky for Chanel, it wasn't enough to turn me off the brand entirely. The next time I had a repair need was actually with a pair of earrings. These are the first Chanel costume jewelry earrings that I have, and they have these little rhinestones. They're super, super tiny as well, the studs themselves. And I had lost a few stones in this pair of earrings for actually like a year or so, and I totally forgot about them. I stopped wearing them because like just too many rhinestones had fallen out of it, and I felt like you could really tell because like 3 or 4 were out. So I completely forgot about it, and then as I was shopping, this is when I was regularly shopping at Neiman Marcus, so I had a good relationship with an SA. I remembered one day and I was like, oh, I have these pair of earrings, like should I just bring them in? And my SA was like, yeah, just bring them in, we can send them over, they should come back in like 3 weeks or so, and it would be free of charge. And I was like, brilliant, is it okay that I didn't get the earrings from this boutique though? And he's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And I'm like, okay, great. So I brought them over. It was really smooth, just like no problems. I dropped them off. I just pointed out what was missing. Oh, and this is when the Chanel earrings, oh my God, someone's really got to change their brake pads over there. Okay. This is when, so this pair of earrings are from 2014, and this is when they had a separate sort of plaque glued, well, at least this pair had a separate plaque glued to the back that had like the year number and things like that on it, you know, the little circular oval plaque. Those had fallen off my earrings as well, so I had those bits collected in the box as well. I didn't have any of the extra rhinestones though, I don't know where those went. And I dropped off the earrings, and they came back in, I think, about 4 weeks. This was right, I think, around the holidays. So when they came back, my essay was like, so sorry, it took longer than we expected. And I was like, oh, 4 weeks is fine. And they came back looking brand new. All the rhinestones were back in there. And then also they had put the plaques back on the back of the earrings. I wasn't even expecting that because I totally forgot about it. But they had kind of rounded everything back out so that it looks pretty much brand new, and they were back in my hands in about 4 weeks. That was a very dramatically different experience at Chanel, at a different boutique. And for me, what I think really helped was I had a relationship with an SA, or at least I knew the person, like the store was familiar with me as a customer. I feel like they did a much better job taking care of me as a customer, and also caring about the products and wanting them to be repaired properly. Like, I feel like the energy in that space was they cared more about how things came back versus the previous boutique where they were straight up like, that's the best it's gonna look. If you regularly purchase from a boutique and an SA, I definitely think that helps with your repair process and journey. I don't think it's like, you know, they can put in an expedited order for you and make sure your thing comes back faster or anything like that. But at least the processing of it and shipping them out, like all of that, it just, there's someone who's a little bit more invested in that journey and making sure it happens smoothly. So I definitely recommend reaching out to your SA if you ever have an issue with any of the items that you purchased, even if they weren't purchased with that SA, even if you purchased them before you met them. But that is a seamless experience. It really restored my faith in the repair process. And unfortunately, those earrings lost another rhinestone. I don't know how that one happened, but there's one missing, and I am likely going to try and get those repaired. The Neiman Marcus boutique no longer exists in New York City. That one closed, but I still work with the same SA. I asked like what I should do with my earrings that lost a rhinestone. Like, does it matter? Like, should I try to find some of the people that used to be at that boutique and things like that? And he was like, honestly, you could just bring it to anywhere and they should be able to help you. So we'll see how that goes. I'll report back. We all know Chanel costume jewelry is notorious for some of the pearls and the rhinestones falling out. They will repair them for you. Like, they will send them back to Paris to get new stones put in. But over time, it can get sort of annoying, if you will, to have to keep up with that maintenance. So I know there are a lot of people who no longer really purchase Chanel costume jewelry for that reason. I also definitely reduce the amount of costume jewelry that I purchase, and I also prefer to get pieces that don't really have those kinds of rhinestones for that reason. I've also purchased some vintage pieces. This is totally separate, but when it comes to vintage pieces and repairing those, I haven't brought those into the boutique yet. I have brought those more to a local kind of jewelry shop and a bead shop where they were able to add in replacement crystals for some of those vintage pieces. And then I've also like dropped an earring and it sort of cracked on the inside. So they helped kind of glue that back together. And that I just did at a local shop versus trying to take it back to the Chanel boutique and trying to do it that way. Because at the time I felt like it would be easier to just quickly ask someone to be able to help me out. And then the last experience that I wanted to share is how I got a full refund for an item like 18 months after I purchased it. This is with Dior, but it was the Cause card wallet. I purchased this, I think, the end of 2018. I think end of 2018 or early 2019-ish. I think I mentioned in a like card wallet / wallets comparison video that the zipper pull had come off. We've kind of forgot about it. My boyfriend started rotating through his card wallets and we sort of forgot about that Cause wallet until earlier this year. I think it was January of this year where we mentioned it to our SA, who thought that was strange that that would have happened, and suggested we bring it in and they can see what they can do about it. So we brought it in, she looked at it and was just like, wow, that's very strange and that's not really normal. And submitted it for repair. Then COVID happened. So understandably, a lot of delays sort of happened. Things were shut down. You know, communications weren't as quick between here and Paris because that's where it was going for repair. And we were in no rush. We were fine. I mean, we were just like, that's okay. I mean, it will take as long as it needs to take. So I want to say it was like late August. Our SA reached back out saying, hey, I have an update on the little card wallet. I think there's a new one in the warehouse, so we can send you a new one because, you know, your original one was a bit faulty. And we said, okay, that's fine. Please send a new one. And then a couple days later, it was like, so sorry. It was a warehouse inventory kind of mistake. We don't actually have a new one. And because we don't have a new one, we have two options. One is for it to proceed with actual repairs. So I guess they would try to put in some new zipper for it. The other option they offered was an actual full refund. I had never heard of a full refund happening, especially a year plus after you purchase the item. That wasn't originally what we expected or what we anticipated, but given that was an option as well, then we decided to go down the refund route rather than getting a piece that might not have the same, exact hardware on it, and it might be, you know what I mean? So it is possible. I wouldn't consider that to be the most common option. So I wouldn't necessarily go into a repair situation expecting that 100%, but it's possible. And so I would consider that to also be a pretty pleasant repair experience. Even though I don't have the item anymore, it's nice to know that the brand will stand behind the piece and will also work towards a sensible outcome based on the options that are available. Like, if they can fully replace it, they will. If they can't, they will try to repair it. But if they feel like the repair won't really be the same, then they can also offer something else. I do think overall you're going to have to expect to wait for the pieces to come back, because a lot of times the repairs will happen in Paris. So there is, you can imagine the backlog of repairs that come from all over the world to Paris. I think it's worth it. I feel like we've gotten to a place where we get so used to just discarding things once they get older that I like the repair aspect of these luxury brands. I don't see these things as disposable pieces that, like, oh, it starts getting dirty, you toss it, or oh, it gets dirty, you don't like it anymore, so you know what I mean? I like that these brands are supporting the repair process for it and can continue the cycle of life for those pieces. So far for me, everything was free of charge, but I have heard that maybe like Louis Vuitton and like Hermes might charge for some of their repair services. So that's something to also think about. Sometimes because of the cost of repair from the brand themselves, it could be better to try to repair something through like leather spa or your local like cobbler or something like that. So there are definitely other options to repair pieces outside of just always going to the brand. So that's also something to think about as well. So that's my personal experience with repair and like luxury aftercare service. Overall, I think it's great, and I feel like the whole repair process demonstrates the brand stand behind their products and want to ensure that there's like long-term enjoyment and fulfillment, out of the pieces. So I like it. I think it's a good thing to have, and I think it's a service worth leveraging if you ever find yourself in a place where you need to repair something. Do you have any thoughts on how the repair process goes, how the repairs work in your country, and whether you feel like luxury brands really stand behind their products and support the repair process? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. But otherwise, if you have any other questions on this topic or really anything at all, feel free to leave those down below or head on over to Instagram, and I'd be happy to help however I can. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate all of your feedback and support. If you like this kind of content and you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I post new fashion-related videos every Sunday and Wednesday. So until next time,